Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Before we jump into the low degree counter, we're going to talk about the higher time frame idea that we were looking for here, where the potential is that this could be actually looking to form a bigger flat correction. Now within this idea, what we'd be saying is that our A wave completes into here and we are looking for this B wave to complete. Now with this move, I would be looking for the potential to actually see one more high come into place here. And if we do, we need to then be looking out for the potential of this 30,099 to be hit at this 0.854. It is, however, also possible because of the time duration of this A wave here, that if we do actually see something like this play out, that we could still see a retracement back down here and then see something along these lines where we see this B wave actually look to push up higher into this target box area before eventually having a C wave to the downside. Now we do also have a bullish count where this could look to actually progress from here, and that this move is potentially already completed as a correction and we could be looking for another leg to the upside, and that would basically be looking for a higher target here of this 49,862 as a one-to-one, but I would also be keeping an eye on this 38,240 because this does have some confluence with this little level that we've got over here. So this would be looking at this move as a whole ABC pattern, looking for just a corrective structure to the upside. Now, within this idea here, we're going to come in and actually focus on this move up currently. And what we need to be aware of as well as this is there is a more bearish way of looking at this structure where this could actually be the end of the move here. Now, it's not my favorite interpretation of it, but if we do complete into this high here, then we have the potential to form a bigger impulsive structure to the downside. So what we need to be a little bit careful with here is the potential for something like this to play out, where this becomes 1, 2, and then we look for a deeper third wave. Target area for something along these lines would actually be this 20,765. So if we do see a move down towards this area, this would then align with the idea of having a fourth and a fifth, which could look to push us down towards this 19K level. Now, the invalidation of this would be a move back above this 31,808, and if we do move back above this area, this would then invalidate the idea of seeing this develop into a 5-wave move. Now, I have also got this alternate C area marked. What this means is that this could also just be A, B, and C if we see something like this, but this wouldn't really fit into the idea of the flat here, and this is my primary expectation. But if we do fail to break back above this 30,293, then there is a possibility here that we could be looking for something more bearish like this move to the downside. So we need to just be aware of this idea. Now, within the idea here that we are looking to continue up here, we were talking about this previously where we were saying that this was potentially a W, X, and a Y for an A wave. We're looking at this as a B wave, and then we're looking for this C wave up. Now, it is possible that we are still within this C wave here, and this C wave could still be looking to push up between this level here of this 121 to this 1236 would be the most common, but really anywhere up to 1.618 would still align with the idea of this being a 3-wave move with a 5th wave looking to come. Now, the problem that we have here is internally this is very difficult to count. And if this is still looking for a completion of a 5th wave, we could be actually forming this 5th wave. Now the target area for this would be this 31,237 to this 30,466. It is not very neat, and you'd have to say that this wave 2 here was actually a WXY that completed as a triangle, and then this would effectively be our wave 3. Now, if this is the case, what we'd then be looking for is that this is potentially our wave 4 into this point here, and then we are looking for the yellow count to play out. Now, within this yellow count, what I'm looking for is that this is 1, 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we have hit this 1.618 level. If this is actually going to be taking place in this way, what we would be expecting here is a retracement down towards this 29,479 to this 29,120, and then looking for that additional 5th wave to the upside. Now, if we do see something like this, this would then align with pushing up into this white target box area here. But we also need to just be careful here because in this instance, the wave 3 was quite strong. So we could look to fall short. So the typical 4th wave area based off of a retracement down towards this 29 122 would actually push us up towards 30,291 to this 30,011 level. So if we do start to see price looking to consolidate here and we stay above this 28,917, I am going to be looking out for that potential. We could see another push up here where we look for this as a fifth wave, and this could look to potentially complete this move. Now, it is also possible to look at this move slightly different to this, and what we could actually have here is that this move could rather be playing out as a W, an X, and a Y. Now, this, once again, the target area is going to remain the same, 1.618 to this 121 level here, but the difference is that internally, what we'd be looking for is the fact that this is an A wave. We're looking for a B wave to the downside. Now, this B wave could once again come into play over here, and then we could be starting this move up as a bigger C wave here, which our 1-to-1 would then be here towards the zone of this 31,776, which would align with coming up towards this area here between this 1382 and this 1.618. This would also align with pushing us back up into this high, which would be quite an interesting area if we do see price move back up there from a liquidity standpoint. Now, what I would want to see here is that if we are looking at this just as a completed B wave, then we'd be looking for that C wave to the upside. If, however, we are looking at this as an incomplete move, what we could actually have here is that this move could be developing as A, B, and C, and we could be getting something like a flat correction here. The 1.236 has been met. Where is the 1.618? Let's have a look. So the 1.618 of this would actually be here at this 29,926. If we do move above this 1.618 level, then we need to be on the lookout here that this could potentially also be counted as 1, 2, and that this could all become a 3. We get a 4th and a 5th like that. So we need to just be aware of that alternate count there. But if this is just an ABC and we see a move up here where this just actually develops as 3 waves, we fail to get an additional 4th and a 5th here. This could actually still be within this yellow B wave here, which case we could be looking to actually have another push to the downside where our 1-to-1 would actually bring us quite nicely back into this golden pocket level here of this 27,811 to this 27,702. So this would mean that the yellow wave C here would actually then become the bottom of our white B wave here, and then we'd still be looking for an additional push to the upside afterwards. So I haven't written off this potential here where we could see this as A, B, and C, and then we could look for that continuation up after this point. But we need to see how we react here. If we get this additional 4th and a 5th, then this could just actually be a C wave to the upside, and we could then look for a reaction from that point. Now, we're going to go over the bullish count now, where we could say that, you know, this is not a corrective move, because if this is a corrective move, what we'd be expecting is once it completes to see this bigger C wave to the downside, where we'd be looking for this lower level, depending on where we come down to from where we currently are. It would be sitting here towards this 1-to-1 to this 1,236. But if we actually break this high here, what this could then mean is that we could see this actually become an expanding flat, and we could be looking for between this 1,236 and this 1,618, depending on where this actually completes. The higher this goes, the target area to the downside also moves up. So it'll be interesting to see if we do push up here, how we're going to react in this area. And if we do get a rejection, we need to be very careful of this sharp sell-off in a C wave. Now, in the previous videos, we're talking about the potential that we could see a break to the upside from this point. Now, there is a couple of ways we were talking about this. One of them was that we could be setting up a series of 1s and 2s where this becomes 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we could be looking for a third wave to the upside. Now, the third wave, really we'd want to see a move back above this 30,934. Until we see something like that, we need to just be careful of the idea that this could just be a corrective structure here, and we could see that break to the downside. If, however, we form this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this then opens up a couple of options here. We could potentially argue that this then becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a expanding diagonal. These are not very common, but they do happen. And if it is an expanding diagonal like that, what we'd then expect to see is a retracement back down, and we'd want to hold this 25,913. Obviously, depending on how high we come here, this will adjust this target a little bit, but that 25,900, which would be this baseline that we've got over here, would be quite important to hold if we're going to see that continuation up. Now, it is also possible that this could be 1 2 1 2, and then we get another 1 and a 2 here, in which case then we would still be looking for holding this low here at this 26,555. Now, if we are looking at something along those lines, what we'd then be saying is that after we complete this move here, where this becomes 1 2 3 4 and 5, and we see another push up here for this fifth wave, we'd be looking to hold this 28,577 to this 27,402. This would be for the idea that this is going to become another 1 and a 2, and then we're going to see that continuation up in a third wave. The thing with this count is that if we do see something like this play out, and I'm going to go just off of that higher target box area here, we'd have to see a move above 35,638 to confirm this idea. Now, it is always possible that this move could be extending internally here, so we need to just be aware of that. If we start to see price pushing up directly without having this fourth wave past this 30,477, then it's possible that internally here we have a series of 1s and 2s, and that this is still going to have some additional 4ths and 5ths to the upside here. So this is going to be a key level. If we don't get a retracement down here and then a push up, if we just push up through this zone, then it could actually indicate we're starting to extend, and we'd have to reevaluate the waves at that point. But effectively, still the same idea. If we do get a 5-wave move here, I'm going to be watching the retracement. 3 waves down, holding this 50% to the 786 level is going to make it possible that we could be having a bigger breakout. Now, another way that we talked about this is that we could also argue that this move here was 1 2 3 4 and 5. This becomes a wave 2, and then we could be looking for the potential of this continuation up in an additional third wave. Now, within this idea, what we'd want to see is 32,721 get hit. Invalidation of this would be breaking this 26,538, and once again, what we'd be expecting here would be the same idea as we talked about within this. We'd want to see this develop as 1 2 3 4 and 5. And then we'd be looking for this to move back down into the support zone. So it's going to be important to see where we complete up here. If we do get this as a 5-wave move, then we're going to be looking for that possibility of a retracement. If we are looking at the structure here, I would be looking for an interaction again with this area of this 28,101 to this sort of 28,641 area. That would align quite nicely with coming back between this 50% and the 618. The 618 is the bottom of that move, so it will be interesting to see if we actually get that interaction, if this does develop into something more here. But we need to just be respectful that until we actually take this high over here, we do have that more bearish count, which is looking for a much bigger breakdown. So we need to just be very careful that this isn't 1 2. At the moment, it is looking like we are going to break this high, but if we don't break this high, we also need to just be careful of the idea that we could break down directly from here, where what we'd then be saying is that this move down is wave 1. We have this as a wave 2. Now, the problem that I have with trying to say that this is a wave 2 is that we have actually come up quite high. We've come up past this 0.854, and typically speaking, wave 2s are not as deep as this. Nevertheless, if we do start to see price looking to push down past this 26,598 level, this could then align with the idea of having this move looking to develop as a bigger 5-wave structure. But we wouldn't have a lot of space here for this 4th wave to develop, so the likelihood then would be that if this is going to break down in this way, this is going to become 1 2. We're potentially going to get another 1 2 here, and then we're going to see something like this play out rather than just having this breakdown directly in the 3rd. But we'll obviously have to wait and see. If we just get this as A, B, and C, this then aligns with the idea of the W, an X, and a Y to the upside. So we need to just be on the lookout for that. That if we do see price reject down here, we find support at 27,796. That could align with this other idea here, where we're still looking for that additional push to the upside here, in this C wave. So going to be watching these couple of ideas and then seeing how the price responds. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we printed a slightly higher daily CPR today, and we have actually moved up all the way to our R3 line, which is sitting here at this 29,865. If we do look to continue up here, we could potentially find resistance at this 30,215. Now, it is always possible that price can move through these levels, so we need to just respect that, but these just indicate potential pivot points within the market. Now, if we do look to retrace down, we could potentially find support here at 29,396 today, 29,000, and this area of this 28,648 to this 28,502. If, however, we lose these central lines, some downside targets for today would be 28,240, 27,756, 27,427, and this area here of this 26,938. Now, this would align with the idea of this being an A, B, and a C if we see some of these lower targets get hit. Now, we're going to come over here and have a look at the weekly pivots. What we can see with our weekly pivots is that we had this very tightly spread CPR line here, and then we had this volatile move to the upside. Now, this indicates volatility typically, and we can see that we've actually met all of our requirements for this week. Now, this doesn't mean that these lines are irrelevant. If we do move back down here, going to be keeping an eye on this level here of this 29,354 as a potential support zone. Also, this 28,678. 27,894, and then once again these central lines. If, however, we lose these central lines and we are looking at this breaking down deeper, what we could see is an interaction with 26,476, 25,754, and this 25,006 level. So that would align more with the idea of having that bigger breakdown if we start to see those lower targets getting interacted with. Now, we can see here on the monthly CPR lines that we've actually moved up. We found support above our R1 line here, and we actually moved through our R2 line. Now, we do still have a target of this R3 line here for this month towards this zone of this 30,580. Once again, price can move through these levels, so we need to just be aware that when we get impulsive structure developing, we can see price actually move through these zones, but I will be watching this level nonetheless if we do move up here. Now, if we do move to the downside, we could potentially find support here at this 29,000, 27,994, and then we have our central lines again here towards the bottom of this move, which would be 26,741 to this 26,166. Now, this wouldn't really align with the counts unless this is actually going to complete here, and then we're going to see a bigger three-wave structure, but then we'd be looking at this as a potential support zone where this could look to extend out again to the upside. So that's what I'll be looking out for, and using these lower lines for if we do see price looking to start to break down. We'll be looking at these central lines and potentially this S1 line here, this 25,418 as a possible zone that we could look for a reaction. If, however, we do move down, other targets that we have for this month would be this 23,852 to this 22,819, but we'd need to lose these central lines before those targets become possibilities. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.